Hey guys, I'm on my way to see Dean Crawford of the College of Science um, at Ara Parseghian's house here in Boston. And Ara Parseghian is the only surviving grandchild of the legendary Notre Dame football coach Ara Parseghian. Last summer, Dean Crawford rode his bike with his wife from Tucson, Arizona to South Bend, Indiana to raise awareness for Niemann-Pick type C disease. And this summer he'll be riding his bike from Boston to Dallas. So we're going to go meet up with him and talk to him. So I just got off the Orange Line and let's see if we can find his house. So could you introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name's Ara Parseghian. My parents are Mike and Cindy Parseghian. My grandfather's Ara Parseghian, the coach. I'm a medical student here at Tufts in Boston.
And I'm Greg Crawford. I'm the Dean of the College of Science at Notre Dame.
Alright, so could you tell us a little bit about Niemann-Pick type C?
Niemann-Pick type C is a genetic neurodegenerative disorder that affects children. Progressive loss of function, gross motor function, fine motor function, speech, progressing towards the ability to swallow, and a variety of other neurological defects. Been a lot of fantastic research that's done in the field in the last 15 years, including a lot at the University of Notre Dame.
So, what's the relationship between Notre Dame and the Ara Parseghian Foundation?
Well, of course, we all know about the famous coach, Coach Ara Parseghian, and then his son, Mike Parseghian, and his daughter-in-law, Cindy Parseghian, had 4 children, and Ara is one of their children, and the other 3 children came down with Niemann-Pick type C disease. And at that point in time, in 1994, Cindy and Mike turned that diagnosis into hope for lots of people in terms of creating a foundation that would go and support research from basic science perspective and the translational research to try to find the understanding about Niemann-Pick and its relation to cholesterol, and then furthermore if there's any treatments or therapies or even cures for such a disease. And so it's been a big part of the Notre Dame family for a long time. And then last summer, the Parseghian Foundation joined partnership with Notre Dame through a gift to the university in which we're now partnering to take on this disease together.
Okay. And I know that last summer you and your wife biked from Tucson, Arizona to South Bend, Indiana. And this summer you guys are biking from here in Boston to Dallas, Texas. Is there any significance to the journey itself?
Yes, so last year we did that ride. It was actually in many ways to signify the new partnership between the university and the Ara Parseghian Medical Research Foundation, which was in Tucson, Arizona. So we started there and, so to speak, brought it back to the Dome, and it was a great way to sort of start off this new relationship in the future. And this year we're starting in Boston and going to Dallas, and it was just, this is a little bit different this time. Last year we met with lots of alums, and this time Renata and I are going through and doing a documentary on the disease, and we're going to capture it from various perspectives, from the families and the children. So we're meeting with that constituency, and then also the researchers, and so we're going to go to the researchers at other universities. And also we're meeting with many different healthcare professionals, both nurses and doctors, who treat Niemann-Pick patients. And we're going to put this all together. And since Niemann-Pick is a very rare disease, estimated between 500 and 1,000 kids that have it worldwide, we had to be sort of in bigger population, higher density population areas so that we could meet with more of the families. And so we decided to start up the eastern seaboard and go that direction. And in addition, we'll start in Boston, where Ara's living, and so we'll start from his home tomorrow morning, and then we're going to end up in Dallas, Texas. And there's 2 Nobel laureates down there, Brown and Goldstein, in biology, who study cholesterol, which is tied to Niemann-Pick in a big way because the children can't process it. and metabolize it. And that's ultimately the fundamental issue behind this disease, that we have to figure it all out. So we're going to go down there and visit some of their researchers and some of their students and stuff that are working on Niemann-Pick. And so it's kind of a beginning and an end to this documentary.
So, what do you think is the importance of research in terms of finding cures for diseases like Niemann-Pick, or solving the problems of society today?
Yeah, I think Niemann-Pick is one in which is called a rare disease. It's one of 8,000 rare diseases. So that means in this country there's less than 200,000 cases. In fact, it's much rarer, and that's between 500 and 1,000, as I mentioned earlier. And so pharmaceutical companies are not going to pick this up because there's not a large market for it. And so they're not going to do research on it, and they're probably not going to ever make a drug for it. And so what we have to do as a university, as part of our mission, is to actually look at some of these rare diseases. And through our Center for Rare Neglected Diseases, we're looking for cures to Niemann-Pick and therapies, and also just the basic fundamental understanding of how the disease progresses. And I think a university picking it up is very attractive from one standpoint, because we can do the research and it can be part of our mission, and we don't have to think about the profits and the markets of it in the future. We got to think about the good we can do in terms of the families and kids that do have this disease. So that's why we're picking it up. And just recently, the university, we had a new compound it's called the HDAC inhibitor, which looks very promising on Niemann-Pick cells in the petri dish. And so a small startup company is coming out of Notre Dame called Lysomics, and we have a CEO of this company is a Notre Dame alum and PhD biochemist, and so we have great leadership there. And we're taking, the small company is going to try to move this discovery through the FDA process, etc., and get it into the marketplace as soon as possible.
So, what do you think is the importance of undergraduate research, and why should undergrads get involved in research, especially at Notre Dame?
Well, I think it's always interesting when people ask that question, and I always have the same response, and that is, if you're an undergraduate in science or engineering or any of the STEM disciplines, being a student is more than just being sort of an absorber of knowledge, where you just sit in the classroom, take things on, learn facts, learn equations, learn logic, and solve textbook problems. But in the end, when we send you out there in the real world after graduation from the university, we want you to be creators of knowledge. And so that piece of it is very, very important. And being involved with a research project like Niemann-Pick, which falls under the Center for Rare Neglected Diseases in the College of Science, it's just a terrific experience for students to not just learn about the science behind the disease, but also really practice and live the mission of the university.
All right. Well, thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.